Well, good evening, everybody. And here we all are at Harper's Ferry, West Virginia. It's November 16th, 2023, and we all had a reunion hike, and we hiked from the Mason-Dixon line down here to Harper's Ferry, West Virginia. Why are you shaking your head?
Because it was rough.
Oh, yeah, well, I haven't gotten to that
Awesome.
yet. Yeah.
It was
rough for just a couple of us and not so rough for the others. But we want to do a question and answer video because we get a lot of questions, typical, and me and these guys, and you're going to get it from the perspective of 4 different thru hikers, including our narrator. He's going to take over. He was a thru hiker with us. So Scribe, he's behind the camera, and he'll be doing the interview. So, having said that, I'm going to turn it over to Scribe, and he's going to ask our first question of the night.
All right. You guys ready?
Yeah.
We are ready.
So, first question is the big question. This is everyone's big question. What was your favorite state on the trail?
Well, my favorite state was Tennessee. I think that in that timeline, I got to see, when I went through, we had a blizzard. And in that blizzard, both myself and my brother was with me at that time. We got to see the mountains of the Smokies like it's never seen before. There's so much ice and snow. It was just majestic. It was very beautiful. I got to see things really I wouldn't think I've ever seen or be able to see at that time. Dangerous as it was actually pretty cool.
Okay.
My favorite state would probably definitely be Virginia for just a couple of reasons. One, it was beautiful. Grayson Highlands, the Triple Crown, Shenandoah National Park. We had a great time there. It was freezing cold, but we'd eat at the waysides. And it was such a gigantic morale boost eating the food off the waysides. But we weren't allowed to eat the waysides. We had to go in the bathrooms and eat it. It was sort of typical farm. So it was just so many great memories. And it was a place where me and my sons used to hike too. So it was just a great coming home for me there.
Nice. Very nice.
So I think all things considered, Tennessee is a pretty good state. Laurel Creek Falls, when you hit that valley and you go down to them falls and you go follow that little rock outcropping, it had Vegas crying. I'm not gonna lie, it was beautiful.
It was emotional.
Although, when the heck was it freezing cold in Shenandoah? Because we were never too far from each other, and I mean it would rain and
Well, it
it
was
would get
snowing
cold.
when we left there.
We had to go find. We went to
It
the
was
lodge.
Iced over.
Yeah, we went to the lodge.
All right, I might have just been in a fourth alternate dimension.
You were in your own head.
I was
buddy.
in my own head. But,
It was
but no, I
cold.
mean, there was, Grayson Islands was pretty, but I think all things considered, New Hampshire was very, very scenic, but Tennessee had some special spots for me.
Yeah.
All right, typical. What do you think, man?
Virginia. Virginia had everything. It had warm. It had cold. It had the best shot on that you've ever took was when we was coming down from Grayson,
Is that when you were sitting down in
and
the
it was
road?
ice. Remember that you
No,
took it? It was like it was another
okay.
world picture.
Yeah.
But Virginia had so much, and it's 550 miles.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Virginia is literally 1/4 of the entire trail.
Yeah,
So you're
but it
seeing
had
a
so
lot.
much.
Yeah.
I mean, the hostels were great.
Yeah.
Fresh Ground was around us a lot.
Shout out to Fresh Ground, my
Yeah,
boy.
yeah.
That's good for you.
So that was a good
Watching
time.
Princess Bride
Good vibes.
in the woods on his laptop, my boy $1,000,000 knows. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So everything. Our best day was in Virginia. I mean, there's just so much stuff. I mean, so much.
Yeah.
Now, I did like Pennsylvania close second.
You are incorrect. That was the wrong answer to
Am
get.
Oh, it was good.
Am I right? Onguard.
Big.
Well, ask me.
Big,
Well.
big feet, long
Walking
legs.
into Pennsylvania was some of the most beautiful farm country to walk through. It was such a relief on the feet. But when you reached Duncannon, it was no
From
good.
Duncannon to Port
Awful.
Clinton was
Yeah, awful.
unbelievable.
Yeah,
Rocksylvania.
although
See-
getting out of Pennsylvania, that Delaware Water Gap town, that was great.
Everything happened in Delaware.
I
wasn't
summoned
it?
a Katahdin in Delaware Water Gap. Man.
Well, you guys have the perfect segue into the next question.
Okay,
actually.
what's our next one?
Because you're talking about, apparently, some of you might be talking about your least favorite state right now. So what
Okay.
is your least favorite state?
I think my least favorite state would have been kind of split in half there, would have been southern Vermont. I think because of the timeline I was going through, all it did is rain and the trails were just full of mud and wasn't pleasant, not much to enjoy because you're just looking down on what you're slipping and you're picking yourself up quite a bit. So I say southern Vermont.
Yeah, I think that's it. I just thought you educated me on that. I'm going to start off with New York State. I call it New York State because in Jersey it's New York City and New York State. I keep saying that I have it, but I lost these guys at Bear Mountain, New York. And so I was alone in New York, and I just thought the trail was pretty dreadful. And I re-injured my knee in New York, and I remember that. But again, I got to say, Vermont, with that weather and the heat came, that was pretty dreadful. So
I think so when I think back to my least favorite state, it's hard for me to separate when like when you're in a bad mood on trail, it can really affect the way you view your state. So when I was in Pennsylvania, you know, the family I was with, we had all kind of drifted apart at that point, and I was alone for a little while. And then the rocks, you know, they hurt your feet, and it was just Pennsylvania. It would, you know, that was a low point mentally for me. So it tainted the state, but it's also Rocksylvania, so you know. And then Vermont, I mean, Killington was awesome. You know, Typical's previous video, Big Willie's previous video. We were all up there on Killington. That was a great time. But you know,
It was
the mud, the mosquitoes, and I mean, it just so happened that the heat wave came in. That heat was brutal.
the bugs. Too,
I mean, the all of it, the bugs, the heat, the mud, and like Onguard, like you said, like you're just looking down to see when you're gonna pull your foot out of your shoe because it was so muddy. And just so I would say it's a 50-50 split between Pennsylvania and Vermont for me.
I would say New York. Because
Damn,
water?
love these guys.
Yeah.
well,
Because
right,
of
no,
water, huh?
it's because right when you went in, it's like, how many times did you get lost when you first went into New York? And you're like, I was like, are they going to put any blazes up here?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, so
New
then
York,
you go off
that
and then you
first-
come back on. And then how many times they just basically run you into a wall all the time? You're like, oh, they want us to climb up and over the wall.
Yeah.
And there was nothing really to see. I mean, there
New
was
York
really
was
not.
one
There was
giant
not
boulder.
much.
It was one giant boulder scramble.
Yeah, that's what it was. And there was the only thing that kept it somewhat good is at least they had a little bit of food.
Oh, the
spots.
deli blaze.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
That was great.
But not much else.
Yeah.
It was hot. It was miserable. It was like they wanted to keep you. They didn't. You know, you can tell if a state likes a thru hiker. They just kept us away from everything.
Yeah.
We didn't really see anything except Bear Mountain, and that's why I lost Big Willie.
Yeah, tragic day indeed.
Yeah, and it was miserable that day. My goodness.
All right, y'all ready for question number 3 here?
Let's do that.
So, kind of following the same thing there. We've got your favorite hostel on the trail.
Ooh.
We
That
could
is
probably
all-
give a couple or something.
Yeah, give it a couple,
Quiet
it's fine.
bit. You know, I think in a time of where I was hurting and needed to take some zeros, I think the Notch Hostel. I think it's,
Good answer.
that
Good
was,
answer.
and then we
Yeah.
all saw each other there. It was
Good
a great
answer.
reunion, but the hospitality, I think the golf, miniature golf was awesome because I won. But anyway, on that point, sorry Radar if you're listening in on that. But I think I think that was one of my favorite. But there's so many.
There's just too many because I love
Yeah.
almost all the hostels. But just real quick,
Yeah.
like the first one around the bend, I love that. What was really impressed about around the bend, they had bidets in their toilets, and all their toilets. I thought that was amazing. Like, and you never saw that at any other hostel. And but going up, what was that Daleville one, Beach House or something? We had a great time there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, we had a good time there.
Yeah, for me personally, I was at the Refuge in Rome, Tennessee. I was there by myself. I had a great
That's a
time.
dude you kept in touch with.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
that's
yeah.
cool.
He's a great guy, and just going up. There's just so many. I'll agree with everything they say, whatever. Yeah.
So I mean, so
I'll give a
going
couple.
from south to
home,
north,
yeah.
above the clouds with Lucky and Disco, that was awesome. Mountain Harbor was great. I was up in the loft with Rafiki, Apple, and Spring Break, my people. I was up there. Shaw's in the main roadhouse, you know, especially Shaw's right before the 100-mile wilderness. I mean, that was just, you know, it's your victory lap. You're about to go conquer the 100-mile wilderness, and Summit gets hot, and then Shaw's was just a great place to rest before you did that. But again, you know, there's so many, like, and hostel owners themselves, like, you know, they're trail angels. They help you out. So, like, you know, they're all good. But moving from south to north, those are some that stand out to me.
Mine, which I stayed there the longest, was Wicked Way Station.
Oh, that was
Oh,
that was a good
remember that?
hostel. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was such a good crowd we had too.
That was a great crowd. The house was
Yes.
fantastic. You could relax in there. They took us to candlestick bowling. You know, they took
We
me to
played
ice
mini
cream.
golf,
They took me
yeah.
all over the place.
But see, and it depends on the crowd too, because like at
Yeah.
the Notch, It was a room with 5 beds, and it was typical was in the 1 bed.
I got there early, got the best bed.
And then it was me, Vegas.
Big Willie got up there too.
I know, yeah, because it was Vegas, Globetrotter, Pigpen, Big Willie, and Typical. And it was like all 5 of us, and that was a great. Yeah, I like that.
But
The
I-
Roadhouse.
Yeah.
The Roadhouse was
Roadhouse.
really
But we
good.
have to say this hostel. We're at Townsend and Harper's Ferry. I mean, we had a great time.
Yeah,
there.
we had a great
That's
time.
where we are
there.
now, so we got to mention, you know,
I
this is where
should-
we decided to meet. So
I should put that picture of the illustrious scribe on there where he's giving that look
Yeah.
with his ice cream
Babs.
cone.
And then
Yes.
Babs is giving you the side eye, like,
Like, what are you doing?
What is going on?
But there is a lot of
yeah,
hostels.
So many good
Yeah.
options.
I mean,
absolutely.
my goodness.
I know I'm the guy behind the camera, but I definitely agree with the Notch, and also Woods
Woods
Hole
Hole.
was amazing.
Oh, Woods Hole.
yeah.
Woods Hole
Shout
was
out to
top
Serena from
for
the
me.
Notch. She was cool.
yeah. Angel's Rest had the best
Angel's
bathrooms.
Rest. Yeah, Angel's Rest.
They had the
There's
best
so many.
bathrooms.
There's so many.
Remember there was 3
Yeah.
standalones? Some things were huge.
Yeah.
I guess we
Loving
could spend forever on this question.
We could. So
So
okay.
next question.
So
Yeah.
the next
Segue.
one actually is in the same, just
Ballpark.
like we did favorite and least favorite state. We're gonna do favorite and least favorite hostel.
I know mine.
Time to smack talk.
Oh,
And it's
Come
only
on.
careful.
one.
All
Be
right,
careful.
like-
Come back to me on that one. 'Cause there's like
Yeah.
2. I was wondering.
It's a hard one for me because I like them all. So I have to nitpick. If I'm nitpicking, what was it? Where I met you? What was it? Nature's Inn?
Nature's Inn.
I don't know the reason why I'm saying that because I thought it was a little bit expensive for the food there. It was like $12 for a pizza, and we all devoured it. I mean, we had no choice, and
But you
I
met
thought it was a
me,
little bit
Big Willie.
gouging.
But you met me.
Well, I know, but you know, I'm
got-
nitpicking.
Bert and Ernie, they met each other. Yeah. Bert and Ernie met each other.
I might think of something in a few minutes, but what was yours? What do you think yours is?
I mean, I want to stand by what I said previously, that all hostel owners really help you
Yeah.
out. However, standing there was an experience, you know. And let me say, so there was Narcan on the wall, there was meth being smoked there, and you walk into the privy, and if you sit down in that privy, another man's duty's going up your butt. Like, it poked above the toilet seat, and it was just...
What did you sit there
Yeah,
for?
I didn't sit there. I walked in and I said,
Did you
I'm going
squat?
into the woods. No, I said I'm out. So that's,
But before we get to you, I just want to mention only his Four Pines Hostel is kind of like that too.
it was just rough.
It wasn't
Yeah.
that
That was
bad.
serious
Now-
smoking
then
going
They
again-
had a great
Now-
shower, though.
Yeah,
But
that
all
was
those
serious.
hostels gave you a
That's
bed to
right.
sleep
But
in.
the
And,
Four Pines is free though,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
what the hell?
yeah.
Never mind.
Exactly.
Strike
It's
what I
free.
said.
Okay.
That's free.
all right, what do you got?
Mine is Stanimals in Waynesboro.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
It was terrible.
Scribe, he's
They
like,
was-
heck yeah.
It was a
Like,
good place.
No, they was
No,
partying after
We're good.
midnight.
They were good.
And
Dude,
we
they
was in
stole
a
my
room.
brother's package, dude.
Yeah.
They came in.
That's right.
Oh,
Remember,
no.
They had the post.
They left, didn't
They
you? You
showed
left
up
it.
and said they dropped it off with this guy here, and he showed up and said, "I don't
They
know
stole
what
it.
they're talking about."
But anyways,
the postal delivery guy pointed you out, bro. So,
look, we're all sleeping in
Thieves.
the bedroom, and there's another bedroom attached for one of the workers. So this guy's walking back and forth while we're sleeping.
oh, I don't like that.
oh, what about the
I don't
guy
like
who
that
just
at all.
shows up and went to sleep in there?
I was like,
And he
I-
didn't even he left before everybody came in, all the crew.
It
So
was
he showed up.
terrible. The bed was terrible. I could.
Yeah,
I mean, my
that
people are
right
hanging
All
off
right, we
the
got
end.
to move on to the next.
Okay,
question.
go
Yeah.
ahead.
All right.
I could talk all night. on
So fifth question here. And it says here, hardest mile / hardest day. So I don't know if we're going to do hardest mile and hardest day.
Yeah,
it. I could do that.
Yeah,
We could
but
talk
I already know.
fast.
Yeah, I think I
Alright.
pretty much know. It's on
I
you.
think the hardest time was just coming up right in the beginning.
The approach trail?
Yeah, it's the approach trail.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they tell
drop
you don't
off.
have to really do it, and we're like, no, man, we're gonna be, you know, we're gonna cure this, man. We're gonna do this, you know, we're gonna take care of it. Man, I was begging for the first shelter to come in view, man. I was hurting. I was suffering at that point where I was like, you know, realizing I definitely needed a shakedown on my pack.
Oh,
you know,
how much
so
did it weigh?
55 or higher at that point, man.
Ooh, man.
I was
Ooh.
like, you know, my whole thing is safety first. Well, I was like, you know, I had everything ready for the big, you know, Y3K going in like that fast. So I say that.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure my definitely the hardest month it was with you was the
Yeah.
Mahusik Notch was awful. Because by that time,
I love that.
my knees were so shot, and it was just so hard to get down from those rocks.
You and
it was
I
just so
went- yeah.
dangerous, and gosh, And I'll jump on, but probably my hardest day was the Wildcats.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
you were
because it was
gonna say.
pouring rain, and it just the ups never ended, and it was lightning, and so I would go with those.
So
two days.
which that will segue into what? So two things that came to mind for me real quick: Mahusik notch and Mahusik arm. Which the notch wasn't so much hard as it was like slow,
Oh, it's
and then the
tremendous.
arm is just like I'm gonna walk vertically up a rock wall, and it was. But the other one was when Paul from the barn said, "I will offer you a 21-mile slack over Wildcat." I said, "There's no way in hell I'm doing a 21-mile day in late New Hampshire, early Maine."
In the rain.
So I did 13 miles up Wildcat. It's storming on top of Wildcat. I'm like, this is how I die. But I made it down. I didn't die. And then I'm doing the 7 tomorrow. And I'm like, I hope Big Willie is not dead in a ditch somewhere.
I almost was.
And I get to the barn, and I'm like, he's going to be a day ahead of me the rest of the night. I'm never going to see him again. And he's sitting there like, the hike was horrendous. I'm never doing it again. I took it as 0. Yeah, Paul was like yelling at you.
Yeah.
But so Mahusik notch, Mahusik arm, and then I didn't do it, but that 21-mile slack you did over the Wildcats, I imagine would have killed me. So that comes to mind for me.
Yeah.
My worst mile was the Mahusik arm.
Yeah.
Because the Mahusik notch was kind of fun.
And yeah,
He was having a blast.
It wasn't
Well,
hard,
fun.
it was just slow.
Yeah.
You moved slow, but
me,
it was cool.
Pigpen,
Yeah.
and Globetrotter were having
Yeah.
a blast. Then we got through there, and then we took a break, then we was going up the arm. Well, Globetrotter, you know how he does. He just flies up there. Me and Pigpen were going up there.
She's crying.
And we was struggling. And I said, we get to the top, and I said, we got to get a picture, Pigpen. And we took a picture. I said, well, let's give him what we really feel. Well, then she started crying, and I was like, I mean, I felt like crying too.
Is that what, wait, quick question.
You guys were done with it, yeah.
So
It was
Globetrotter
terrible.
was telling me he was standing on a rock, just standing there, and he like lost his balance and fell and broke a pole. And the first
Yep.
thing he heard was you going like, "Oh my god," like looking down or something like
Well,
that. Like,
I don't know how he got in that position, but he landed on his side and nothing happened.
oh my gosh.
My worst day, I won't say my worst day because I was bonking, was probably the 3rd day when I was going up Blood Mountain.
Coming down one stuff.
I was going up and I didn't have enough energy. I didn't have enough water. And I don't even know how I got up there, but Mary, the Ridge Runner, was up there and she got me a spot. And that really helped me out. Then I went down to Neal's Gap and I was a drinking fool.
And I'm just going to mention for me and you, 3 ridges in Virginia.
3 ridges.
Me and him struggled on that.
Oh.
3 ridges
No
and the
water.
priest.
And
Yeah.
the
It was
priest
just
and
so
everything.
rocky.
Yeah, we go down the
But-
priest, which
yeah.
bangs your knees.
Yeah, that's just-
and
that's
then,
Yeah, the priest is rough.
yeah.
And we'll have to get to the next question so we can move.
Yeah, so in that same vein, actually, you guys are talking about your hardest mile, hardest day, hardest state overall, more broadly.
Hardest state overall. I like the hardest state would be New Hampshire. The toughest I think for a lot of us was going through the whites, but it was the most rewarding. It was like pushing through suffering. You push through the suffering, you see that you're capable on doing anything you put your mind to. So it was just a
Amen.
goal setting. No pain, no gain
Yep.
comes to mind. But it was so rewarding at the end of it. So that you look back on it. I can't believe 1, you did it, 2, we survived it. So, but it was awesome.
Yeah, I could agree with him with New Hampshire way, but definitely I would say mine is Maine. Southern Maine in particular, because by then, the rains just wouldn't stop. The river crossings were horrendous. I was burnt mentally, I was burnt physically, and I would have to go with Maine for Maine.
I think I'm going to have to agree with you, only because, so Onguard, you're right, New Hampshire was, when you break into the whites, it's a whole different world. It's unlike anything you've done stuff like that before, but it's just nothing but that, nonstop. But New Hampshire, you had the beauty of the views from Franconia Ridge and the Prezzies and stuff like that. And also, something about Maine was harder because this is it. There's no more state lines to cross. It's you and Katahdin, and on the way there, you are just grinding through that first half of Maine. That's just as hard as the whites, but there's
Harder.
but there it's just like the whites, but there's no you can't look forward to the end of New Hampshire to
Yeah,
Maine.
drop
That's
like
it.
10
It's
pounds.
just there's no more state line. Remember I said that in your video. I was like, once you cross that state line into Maine, it doesn't get easier for a little while.
Remember that
And it's-
chasm you come up to?
Yeah, like right away. It's like
That
there's
chasm, you're like,
you
how
can
am I
just
getting
straight
down
down
there?
after the state line.
It's
But
weird.
so,
It's like,
I would say Maine overall was my hardest state because you factor in mental stuff to that. There's
Yeah.
no more state borders to look forward to. So
I can't say Maine because the last week and the 100-mile wilderness was like the best time on trail.
Yes, and I agree. I agree with that.
But New Hampshire didn't really give me anything. You give me 3 days of sunshine and think you're going to make me feel good about you? No, I don't.
mean, like the views when we were coming down Mount Washington. When you and I came down Mount Washington, that was awesome.
It rained on you. It was like debilitating mentally, because if you was by yourself and you was getting rained on, remember I was by myself when I was between you and the other group, and I was just getting poured on. And then you're coming down Madison, which is the dangerous mile. I mean, coming down on the whole trail, if you ask me. And then you went the wrong way. Remember, you're supposed to follow those stone cairns? Well, they had 2 of them. Yeah. Half the people were going left and half were going straight.
It's definitely right there.
And then I went the wrong way.
Wrong way.
So, next question here is related to that one. Easiest state, and obviously don't forget the really, really short ones.
We have to eliminate the short one. West Virginia.
You can't have West Virginia.
All right, well then it's Connecticut for me. Connecticut
gosh, you out of your mind.
Short and sweet. I mean, it was the best sun.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Yeah, I know, everybody I was seeing on the trail was so like happy, and I run into them, and they were like,
that's when the Canadian fires were smoking, and I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah, but no, because at that point the winds were kind of blowing the opposite direction when I was going through. But I think I rocked it in just one day. So
I would say for me, Maryland, because it is only 41 miles. I don't know what it is. You know, that's part of the equation, but it just seemed a little bit more funner with the historical. Things were broken up, the historic places, and the trees changed from Virginia into Maryland. Like the terrain changed. It was just something new for your mind to look at. So I would say for me it was Maryland. Although it wasn't a breeze, but it was the easiest for me.
I'm gonna agree with Maryland's the easiest state. It's a lot of like, you know, just after our hike doing it this week, just a lot of ridge walking, a lot of just none of the climbs were too abrupt. I mean, other than like right near Pennsylvania, Raven Rock, that's a little bit of a rocky climb, but it's just the most chill state overall. So I'm gonna go with Maryland as the easiest state.
No, if you're gonna go easy, you have to go Maryland. There's nothing to it. We got it in and out of there in 2 days.
Yeah.
But if you want to go longer, Massachusetts was pretty nice.
Yeah.
That wasn't very hard. Except for the very end when they want you to climb up to the state line.
Greylock. Oh yeah.
The Greylock and the state line, that was rough.
Yeah.
But besides that, it was pretty nice.
Yeah. Okay. Next question.
Yeah, so we'll probably breeze through these. Last 3 questions are best questions. So the first one here is the best towns. So maybe give us a couple of your best towns, I guess, here.
Man, I would think like Hanover was awesome. We got when we came in, we had some trail magic there where it was if you ever go on into the town, you go on to once you go into town, make a left, you hit a list of people doing trail magic for a stay at their place, and we stayed at a place. I can't remember their name right off the top of my head, but the town had everything you needed. It was fun, lots of food, and of course it's a college town, so there was a lot to offer. So I'd say Hanover was pretty cool.
Yeah, I would say just a couple. Daleville, Virginia, we had a great time there. I would say Delaware Water Gap, Pennsylvania. We had a great time there.
Everything happens there, doesn't it?
And I think still my favorite town is Harper's Ferry. Harper's Ferry, West Virginia, where we're at now. I love Harper's Ferry.
Yeah, I do love this place.
So I summited Mount Katahdin in Delaware Water Gap because it typically says everything happens in Delaware Water Gap. No.
You'd ask him wasn't that Delaware Water Gap? Do you have a question?
That was a cool town. Delaware Water Gap, Harper's Ferry. For some reason, I want to say Great Barrington was kind of cool because to me that was the first like New England town. That was the first town that gave off strong New England vibes. So
Good.
I like Marion, Virginia.
Oh, I forgot that one. That was good.
Marion, Virginia. They had the best burgers there. I was like, and I said that when we was eating. I said, does anybody think this is like one of the best burgers ever? And a few others said that.
Yeah, Hot Springs was fun.
Hot Springs.
Yeah, that pizza place was really good too.
Hot Springs. The diner.
Diner, yeah.
Oh yeah, that diner.
That diner. Nothing could be finer than that diner.
So how about same vein, best views? Where were your best views?
Ooh, that's easy for me. I'll start it.
Yeah, do that.
Maine. Those views were spectacular. You know, they talk about New Hampshire, but Maine's got lakes, they got all the trees, and they got mountains, and they don't have a lot of people. I like that.
So the Prezzies in Franconia Ridge in New Hampshire was beautiful. Nothing beats that view on Katahdin is pretty cool.
It's the best
But
view.
the one shout out I want to give is that I was with my boy $1,000,000, and you see these great views in New Jersey, and if you were looking at it, you're like, where am I right now? You think New Jersey's like industrial duty hole.
It's the Garden State.
But it was pretty. Like New Jersey
Yeah,
had some.
thank you.
I don't know. I don't want to say it was
Yeah.
like the best views, but it
No,
had
I
a
know
lot
why.
of rapid fire good views in New Jersey. But made in New Hampshire also.
I told these guys coming to New Jersey how nice it was. They didn't
He's
believe me,
from Jersey.
especially these two
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah, I know.
I was,
And
It was
I even got
okay.
on
Like,
video,
what?
and Onguard said, "Are you sure?" Or no,
Yeah.
you said, "Are you sure you were in New Jersey?" Or Jersey's nice.
I
I would agree with
they're-
everything, but I'm just going to
really
add
great.
my few. Just going up. I thought Roan Highlands was really good.
Yeah.
Grayson Highlands was really great.
Well, what
Virginia's-
state?
Roan Highlands is that Tennessee? I think North Carolina, Tennessee. It keeps about,
Tennessee.
I think it's
Yeah,
Tennessee.
yeah.
Roan Highlands, Tennessee. Grayson Highlands, Virginia. The Triple Crown of Virginia, I loved, and everything else these guys say. But that's
Good
my
enough.
3.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that I got 3. I'm knocking it out with it. Was of course going through the Smokies in Tennessee with the snow, I addressed earlier. The second one is going through the Whites. Somehow or another, I was with the great crew. Max Heat was there. A few other great hikers, but I was able to peak quite a bit with great views with no weather issues. The third was going through the 100-mile wilderness. It was just, you can, most of those peaks, and by then all smoke and everything was gone. I was able to get great views of Katahdin and seeing this, spectacular views. So,
Well,
So-
what would you do it in 2 days?
right? No? Actually, I think I did.
So you're
Okay.
you're
I can do
tapping
that.
actually close into the very last question here. I
Okay.
think probably the most important question
All
of
right.
this is, what was your best memory on trail? And it better include me.
Well, that's not going to happen. But anyways, I think the best memory for me, it was summiting and the people and all that emotion that rushed up into me. When you see that sign, it just, me, I just started crying. And I remember Pigpen and Whisper went walking by, and it was like, ooh, because that's the way it hit me. And it was just such all the emotion, because there's a lot of stuff that, especially at the end, that the trail just really tested you. The weather, the trail, and so when you went up there, it was like that culmination, and it was such a beautiful day. That's my favorite moment. There's nothing going to surpass that.
I have a couple that come to mind, but I think the one I'll mention right now is I had made it to the Katahdin sign, and I'll admit I got most of my mourning and weeping done in the 100-mile wilderness, and you make it to that, the day you make it to the sign at Katahdin, it's just a whirlwind. But I will never ever forget sitting there at Katahdin and just thinking, and Beaker had made it, Lawson Town had made it, and Sergeant Pepper made it. Here comes Big Willie, and you just dropped your poles and you hugged me.
Yeah,
and that
I
was,
remember that too.
Oh,
that was good stuff, man. That was good
Well,
you
stuff.
should have been hugging me,
Yeah,
Big
I
Willie.
know, man.
I couldn't keep up with you. I can't keep up with them.
Cheater.
But Katahdin's
Sit
everyone's
it on me,
favorite.
Big Willie.
Going outside of Katahdin, I would definitely say, and Typical's going to agree with me too, it was in Virginia. It was really like the first hot day. The bug hatches were going. And I think he wanted to do like 23 miles. Like, oh, geez, And we went.
You said that every
We
time.
went 13 miles. And we came down on Blue Ridge Parkway, and guess who was there? Fresh Grounds.
Yeah,
He had the tarp set up. He had all the food and the watermelon. And I just went under that tarp, and we all did. We ate and just crashed under the tarp. And the cool breeze was coming through the mountain. And then other hikers started showing up, like New Hampshire. And,
well, she was already there.
Yeah.
Cody, New Hampshire, her mom and aunt.
who was it?
Is that movie night?
Churchill? Was he there? Or was
Well,
that
they
Phaedrus?
wasn't there. They was all there.
Yeah.
We was all there with them, and then they left. Remember?
Yeah. But the thing
Then
is,
later on, they.
I think it's the first time I felt really bonded with everyone. Everyone was like loving one another, like helping each other out. And a bonus for me is that Fresh Grounds convinced him. He's like, look, Big Willie's he's out of it. Just go to the next shelter, 4 miles down the trail. And he agreed. He agreed to it. But
His
walking,
stomach was full.
I know. I'm talking a little bit more, but that walk down to that shelter was during sunset, and I was walking on the Blue Ridge Parkway watching the sun go down, and I just had a moment there, like, wow, this is
That was
phenomenal.
a good time.
It was just phenomenal.
It's because
like
everybody just felt so good.
Yeah.
Because after New Hampshire and Cody and all them left, that's when Churchill showed up. Swilly showed up.
Oh,
remember?
Swilly, yeah, I forgot Swilly. Yeah, our
Swilly.
guy, yeah.
So-
And then Click and Clack, the
Click and
wizard.
Clack, yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
forgot about the wizard.
It's even better that you described it. I was
Yeah.
to say, it was such a
And
great
it was
day.
like two separate occasions.
Yeah.
That was good with New Hampshire and Cody. Then they left, and then Click and Clack and Churchill and
And it
Swilly
ended
showed
on
up.
that beautiful sunset
Yeah.
walking it.
And we was just laying there on the grass.
But the next day, it was 20 miles back with the bugs, and it was like, Go ahead.
He pointed
Oh,
at
man,
me.
I
What
can't
I
beat
do? I
that.
didn't bring the bugs.
There's so many. You guys can't really draw them into like one or two. There's so
Yeah.
many that you
Yeah.
later
The
on you
ones
probably
that
watch
really
this video
stayed
going,
out.
"Oh man, I forgot. This was the other one, or this was this." But I only got one that's on top of my mind. Well, two was one with my brother on Blue Ridge, or going into Woods Hole Hostel the night before. We had right on the ridge. We were able to see the sunset. It was amazing. And the second big one was that because my brother had to get off the trail halfway through, him surprised me the day that a few days before I ended up summiting, about a week before, showing up and surprising me, getting back on, even to where his health wasn't 100%, but showed up to support me, was just was really awesome. So those are two come to my mind right now, but there's so many. You guys all know that.
Yeah.
It's like,
And so many people on the
Yeah.
trail. And it was fun, and it was nice talking to you, Skip, today. Skip on the trail.
yeah,
had to give her a
Skip on the
shout
trail,
out.
Yeah, Skip on the trail was there. Radar, all those guys.
Yeah.
She's always there to give you an encouraging word.
Yeah. And that's one thing, it's just you meet so many new people and new friends that you make for life, though.
The camaraderie is what really makes it.
Yeah, that's why we're
We're
here.
connected for life. I mean,
Yeah, that's why we're here right now.
we're going to be going to each other's funerals and weddings. But we'll never
I'll
get
be going to
married.
all your guys's.
Not Vegas, not Vegas, man. No.
But anyway, is there any other, is that the
That's,
question?
that is the final question. You wanna
So
close
anyway,
this out?
guys,
Yeah.
this is like a great moment for us. This is a memorable moment right
This is
here
one
with
of the
all of
greatest
us. And there's other
right
people in
here.
the background that you'll see, Million Bucks
Million
and,
Bucks
and
is
Green
over there,
Man,
Scribes.
behind the
editor,
camera. We have a lot of great memories.
The lighting man, the editor,
and we
director.
And we want to thank you guys for always encouraging us. And you know Vegas, because you get all you guys out in YouTube land always encouraged us, especially me, because I always cried on
Every
it, but-
time I look at the comments, I'll show up in people's videos and they're like, "Oh, there's Vegas, oh, there's Vegas," and that just makes me feel so good.
We're
So
gonna have
thank you,
more.
everybody.
Yeah, we'll have more reunions and more talks, and we're gonna make me and Tipple are gonna make a video of this hike also. I'm gonna put it out after this video.
Yeah.
I'm gonna post this one sooner. So
I'm going to try to get this. You better download this. Give this
I
to
know.
me too.
Yeah, well, we'll have it
Yeah,
done
we
by
gotta invite
tomorrow.
some more
Yeah.
people
By
next
tomorrow
time,
it'll be
and,
done.
Like Texans and all those
Yeah.
guys. Everybody,
Yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, we wish you a great night. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We love you all, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Bye.
Goodbye now.
We got to hit it.
I get it.